Social engineering. No discussion of reconnaissance would be complete without including social engineering. Many people would argue that social engineering is one of the most simple and effective means for gathering information about a target. Social engineering is the process of exploiting the human weakness that is inherent in every organization. When utilizing social engineering, the attacker's goal is to get an employee to divulge some information that should be kept confidential. Let us assume you are conducting a penetration test on an organization. During your early reconnaissance, you discover an email address for one of the company's salespeople. You understand that salespeople are highly likely to return product inquiry emails. As a result, you sent an email from an anonymous address feigning interest in a particular product. In reality, you did not care about the product. The real purpose of sending the email is to get a reply from the salesperson so you can review the email headers contained in the response. This process will allow you to gather additional information about the company's internal email servers. Let us take our social engineering example one step further. Suppose our salesman's name is Ben Owned. We found this information during our reconnaissance of the company website and in the signature of his email response. Let us assume that in this example, when you sent the employee the product inquiry email, you received an automatic reply with the notification that Ben Owned was currently out of the office traveling overseas and would be gone for 2 weeks with only limited email access. A classic example of social engineering would be to impersonate Ben Owned and call the target company's tech support number asking for help resetting your password because you are overseas and cannot access your webmail. If you are lucky, the tech support people will believe your story and reset the password. Assuming they use the same password, you now have access to Ben Owned's email and other network resources like VPN for remote access, or FTP for uploading sales figures and customer orders. Social engineering, like reconnaissance in general, takes both time and practice. Not everyone makes a good social engineer. In order to be successful, you must be supremely confident, knowledgeable of the situation, and flexible enough to go off script. If you are conducting social engineering over the phone, it can be extremely helpful to have detailed and well-written notes in case you are asked about some obscure detail. Another example of social engineering is to leave USB thumb drives or CDs at the target organization. The thumb drives should be distributed to several locations in or near the organization. The parking lot, the lobby, the bathroom, and an employee's desk are all great drop locations. It is human nature for most people to insert the thumb drive or CD into their PC just to see what is on the drive. In this example though, the thumb drive or CD is preloaded with a self-executing backdoor program that automatically launches when the drive is inserted into the computer. The backdoor is capable of bypassing the company firewall and will dial home to the attacker's computer, leaving the target exposed and giving the attacker a clear channel into the organization. We will discuss the topic of backdoors in Chapter 6. Sifting through the intel to find attackable targets. Once you have completed the steps above, you need to schedule some time to closely review all the reconnaissance and information you have gathered. In most cases, even light reconnaissance should produce a mountain of data. Once the reconnaissance step is completed, you should have a solid understanding of your target including the organization, structure, and even technologies deployed inside the company. While conducting the review process, it is a good idea to create a single list that can be used as a central repository for recording IP addresses. You should also keep separate lists that are dedicated to email addresses, host names, and URLs. Unfortunately, most of the data you collected will not be directly attackable. During the process of reviewing your findings, be sure to transform any relevant, non-IP based information into an IP address. Using Google and the host command, you should be able to extract additional IPs that relate to your target. Add these to the IP list. After we have thoroughly reviewed the collected reconnaissance and transformed the data into attackable targets, we should have a list of IPs that either belong to, serve, or are related to the target. As always, it is important to remember your authorized scope because not all the IPs we collect will be within that range. As a result, the final step in reconnaissance is to review the IP list you just created and either contact the company to determine if you can increase the scope of the pen test or remove the IP address from your list. At this point you will be left with a list of IP addresses that you are authorized to attack. Do not discard or underestimate all the non-attackable information you have gathered.